Hello, my name is April Jaeger, and today I'll be discussing Ayurvedic pulse reading technique. I have a long and extensive educational and professional career in mind body medicine, as well as being the owner of Joshua Wellness Center and the co-owner of Seeking Satora. Ayurveda means the knowledge of life. It embraces the mind, body, senses, and self. Rooted in consciousness, it helps us align with nature's intelligence to support true well-being. This ancient system uses natural methods to restore balance and harmony. At its core, there are three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, the energies that shape our unique physical and mental makeup. Nadi Vigyan, or pulse reading, is an ancient Ayurvedic practice that connects us to our inner intelligence, the self, and reveals the current state of health. It's not just diagnostic, but a way to reconnect with consciousness. A balanced pulse reflects harmony among three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, the energies that govern our body and mind. The pulse is felt at the wrist, just below the thumb. We use 3 fingers, the index for Vata, the middle for Pitta, and the ring for Kapha. A steady, rhythmic, and medium strength pulse is a healthy pulse, not too fast, slow, or irregular, and symmetrical in both hands. A balanced pulse shows proper Agni, digestion, fire, strong Ojas, immunity, and equilibrium in all the 7 dhatus, the tissues. The Vata pulse finger, the index finger. The Vata feels like a snake, thin, quick, and irregular. In balance, it's light, flexible, and gently mobile. And in balance, it becomes erratic, rapid, and ungrounded. The Pitta pulse, the middle finger, feels like a frog, bounding and warm. When in balance, it's steady, warm, and moderate in strength. When out of balance, it feels sharp, forceful, and hot. The Kapha pulse ring finger feels like a swan, slow, full, and stable. When in balance, its Kapha is calm, soft, and smooth. When out of balance, it feels heavy, sluggish, and overly slow. A balanced pulse shows all 3 doshas present in the right proportion for a person's prakriti. No one dosha is dominating. The rhythm is neither too slow, too fast, nor erratic. Depth, speed, and quality are synchronized and clear. With experience, a practitioner can sense deeper imbalances in organs or chakras, emotional patterns, toxins or ama, and the strength of the Agni, Ojas, Teshas, and Prana, the body's vital essences. How to locate the deep pulse. Sit with a tall back, legs uncrossed, arms at a 90-degree heart level, nails cut short. Place your fingers gently on the radial artery right below that bony prominence at the base of the padding of the thumb. Feel your surface pulse, and then press down evenly until pulsation stops. Release the pressure until you feel the pulse again. And then feel the deep pulse for about 2 to 3 minutes. Observe naturally and with innocence. And then slowly lift fingers off the wrist and record. I approach my pulse reading in a quiet, centered space, taking time to ground and connect inward. This was especially meaningful as I've been moving through emotional upheaval after the recent loss of my mother, along with the unexpected stress and travel. These experiences have shaken my sense of balance, physically, emotionally, and energetically. With openness and compassion, I use the pulse reading not just as a diagnostic tool, but as a way to gently reconnect with my deeper self. The Vata pulse felt beneath the index finger was light, quick, and irregular, like a snake's fluttering path. It held a dry, trembling quality, subtle, yet unmistakable. Classic signs of elevated Vata, and emotionally it made sense. Grief brings movement, restlessness, emptiness, and a sense of disconnection. The mind and body feel ungrounded, the nervous system overstimulated. In time of loss, that arises, especially when routines break, travel occurs or we feel exposed. The pulse speaks of sorrow and motion. My Pitta pulse felt oily, hot, but softer and slower than usual, lacking its usual sharp, intense rhythm. It was still clear, but the inner fire seemed dimmed. Normally governing clarity and metabolism, Pitta may be suppressed during grief, as emotional overload and withdrawal can dull its intensity. The softer, heavier pulse suggests a shift towards more kapha-like qualities, indicating that the grief has dampened my digestive strength and the passion replacing fire with emotional heaviness. I've noticed a decrease in motivation, appetite, and my usual drive, aligning with this lower Pitta. My kapha pulse felt heavy, slow, deep, and steady, strong, but with a sense of weight. This is expected during grief, as kapha's grounding qualities are drawn out, but its denser aspects like lethargy, emotional heaviness, and attachment can also be magnified. The softness and heaviness under my ring finger pointed to be a strong kapha presence, offering emotional buffering and resilience. However, it may also be contributing to a sense of stagnation and a difficulty letting go. The kapha pulse seemed relatively balanced, offering a grounding emotional support, but I've also felt emotional inertia and heaviness. While the grounding has helped me cope with loss, I need to be cautious not to let it shift into stagnation. In Ayurveda, balance is guided by two core principles, samanya and visesha. Samanya means like increases like. When we consume or experience qualities similar to a dosha, that dosha increases. For example, eating dry cold foods during stress can increase vata, which is already dry and cold. Vishesha means opposites bring balance. To reduce an aggravated dosha, we apply the opposite qualities. So to calm excess vata, we introduce warmth, moisture, and stability, like warm meals, routines, and calming practices. The Ayurvedic principles of Samanya and Vaishesha help us understand how our environment, diet, emotions, and behavior affect the balance of our doshas. Samanya teaches that similar qualities amplify each other. The emotional qualities of grief, dryness, coldness, lightness, and movement mirror those of the vata, which has become elevated in my pulse. The travel and life changes have added to this, increasing vata's instability. At the same time, my tendency to withdrawal has deepened kapha's heaviness. To restore balance, Vaishesha guides us to apply opposites. I'm using warm meals, grounding routines, and stillness to calm vata, light activity and emotional expression to offset kapha, and gentle spices and stimulation to support my lowered pitta and rekindle the inner fire. In the surface pulse, I noted clarity, softness, and stability, indicating wholeness. The vata pulse was clear, mobile, and hard, suggesting elevated vata. Pitta felt hot, oily, and soft, but diminished. Kapha appeared balanced, though slightly heavy. The deep pulse revealed one dominant, steady, but slightly weak pulsation, reflecting a short-term imbalance and disrupted inner intelligence, likely from the recent grief and stress of losing my mother unexpectedly. Returning to the surface pulse helped me re-anchor my awareness before reading the subdoshas. With deeper and more perpendicular pressure, I observed. Pranavata was erratic and fluttering, showing emotional sensitivity and racing thoughts. Torpaka kapha felt heavy and dull, mirroring emotional heaviness and grief retention. Arotaka pitta lacked sharpness, pointing to reduced insight and clarity during this time. In Ayurveda, Ojas is our vital life force. It reflects our immunity, vitality, emotional resilience, and joy. Ama, on the other hand, is the accumulation of toxins, undigested food, suppressed emotions, or unresolved experiences. Together, Ojas and Ama reflect our overall physical, mental, and emotional health. During my pulse reading, I found that the pulse mostly strong and rhythmic, though slightly softer than usual. This softness suggests a medium level of ojna is present, but needing support. At the same time, I sense some dull or clouded qualities, indicating that the ama may be present, likely affecting my emotional and mental balance. This imbalance feels connected to a recent grief and stress of losing my mother unexpectedly. The presence of medium ojas gives me a strong foundation for healing, but the signs of the ama suggest that emotional residue and stress are disrupting my clarity and vitality. This could also do with the irregularity of my diet recently, especially with travels. In Ayurveda, a clear and stable pulse reflects alignment with our inner intelligence, the body's natural ability to self-heal and stay in balance. Ama blocks this connection. Ojas supports it. By nurturing ojas and clearing ama, I feel more grounded, joyful, and attuned to my inner guidance. Inner intelligence coordinates the mind, body, and senses and self. When it's strong, we experience clarity, resilience, and well-being. But when imbalances creep in, they can cloud this intelligence. Pulse reading helps detect those early signs before they manifest as more serious symptoms. To support healing, my next step is to strengthen ojas with rest, nourishing food, and uplifting routines. To reduce ama, I'm focusing on meditation, emotional release, and gentle detox practices like warm water, lighter meals, and breath work. Together, these practices will help bring my system back to clarity and balance. When I first started reading my pulse, it felt subtle and unfamiliar. But with practice, I began noticing changes in rhythm, texture, and clarity. I could feel how my stress, emotions died, and daily choices were reflected in my pulse. It became more than diagnostic. It became a daily check-in with my inner self. What I've learned is simple. A strong, rhythmic pulse points to balance and vitality. A dull, scattered, or heavy pulse suggests stress, ama, or a lack of routine. Will I continue? Absolutely. Pulse reading helps me stay aware and connected. It guides my daily choices and supports early detection of imbalance. It reminds me that healing begins with presence. That's why it matters to me, and that's why I'll continue to do it. This simple practice strengthens my connection with myself. It promotes clarity, resilience, and long-term well-being. And all above, it brings me back to wholeness. Thank you so much for joining me on this powerful exploration of the Ayurvedic pulse reading technique. Thank you and have a beautiful day.